Welcome to the Mystical Truths Podcast. This is Rebecca, and I'm really glad you're here. Let's unlock your world. I'm thinking that I don't need to begin by describing the many ways that our minds can be uncalm. We know, so we can check that box. There's some stuff. What do I do about it? So let's get right to it. There are 3 truths to consider here. The first one is that calming your mind really isn't about ridding your world or the world of the stuff that you don't like. For the most part, that's not even possible. For example, I overheard a woman talking recently about how someone had bought a scratch-off ticket as a birthday gift for a coworker. It was $1 million winner. The person snatched the ticket back and claimed it. The woman said she was so mad about it. It really bothered her. And here she was, keeping that going in her world, in her life, in her energy. She was activating the essence of that and really feeling it emotionally, which makes it even more powerful. Why? We can be bothered by what other people do, but it's not our job to change them or what they do. It is, however, in our best interest to let them be who they be or how they be and just decide how you want to be. Her being upset about that lottery ticket was not changing what happened or the people that it happened to. It was, however, keeping her in a state where more unwanted stuff lives. That's conditional living. As in, you can walk into a mall and see so many things you really don't like. Things that you really wonder, who would buy that? Who would put that into their body? Who likes that? Well, somebody does. So those things are there for them. The things that you like are there for you. Life is like that. Are you thinking things like your child isn't living as you think they should? Or there are too many people shooting others and selling drugs? There are people not dressing like they should for their gender. There are people who eat junk food. When you give your attention to that stuff, when you give your attention to other people's choices that don't match yours, you're activating something in your life and in your body that isn't going to work out for you that well. So if you want a calm mind, you just got to live and let live. You just can't make that stuff a required condition so that you can be happy or so that you can have your life the way you want it to be. Decide how you want your life to be and tend to that. But when you expect others to behave or to live in a way that you think is a good idea, that may or may not work out for you because we're all so different and we're all free to live and do what we want. You don't have to partake or even be around what other people do that you don't like. That's your choice. And and another thought here is that we can't change people. Really, we can influence, but we can't change people. But we can change how we react to them and how we perceive them. Is that child you just yelled at really bad? Or was that child following what was lighting up for him or her? Seemed like a good idea at the moment from his or her perspective. If a nasty neighbor yells at you, is it really helping to yell back? Or could you walk away and just remind yourself how glad you are that you're not like that? Which one feels better? Doesn't it feel better to just shake your head, walk away, and think, I'm so glad I'm not like that. That must be really uncomfortable. If someone says you're terrible at your profession, you can react by feeling bad, by feeling embarrassed, by feeling angry, or you can react by wondering if there's any truth to that, if you need to make any little adjustments, and realizing that their opinion is their opinion. They don't have to like what you're doing and how you're doing it. But if you like it, if it feels good to you, that's all you need. The second truth, your mind can get busy. And actually, a busy mind doesn't have to be a bad thing. But when it is, your mind will let you know. And your emotions will let you know. That's even more important. Your emotions tell you which lane you're in. And that's a reference back to the 2 lanes in a maze episode. At the end of the day, we've just got to admit, this is a really big planet. There's a lot going on. There's plenty to do. And that's all really, really good. However, when you get too focused out there in this busy world, it's easy to get caught up in it. Your mind becomes very busy, overwhelmed, tired, stuck, scattered, frustrated, very serious. It just feels like life is too much, or at least a few areas of your life are too much. Personally, I know that I just can't get to all the documentaries that I want to see, all the articles I want to read, all the people, the social media videos and posts, events. I'm okay with that. I get to the ones that fit in the moment, and I let the rest go. Email is a good example. I keep my email box as empty as I can. I keep things in there that I want to get back to. But I swipe a lot because I know that when that's just one little way that you can have something quietly nagging at you when you have like thousands of emails in your inbox that you might get to someday, or that you probably should have read a couple of those at least, but you just don't have the time. So you leave them there and they sort of nag at you quietly in the background. I'm building up, I'm building up, I'm building up. Instead, if you just can't get to it now, if it's not a big deal, swipe it. Unsubscribe. If it's one that you keep swiping and swiping and swiping. You know, while we're on the subject of your busy mind, remember that your thoughts are real energy. We know this for sure. They create. And that leads us to the third truth. What's happening in your thoughts is really important. How you perceive the world around you is really important. If your mind gets jumbled, your life becomes jumbled. It's not the other way around. It's not that, my life is so jumbled that now my mind is jumbled. It's starting from the inside first. If you're worrying, for example, you have deviated from what Source or God, infinite intelligence, knows to be true. Your first clue of that deviation or limitation is that your mind isn't at ease. The second clue is that the emotions that you're experiencing don't feel good. Your emotions are indicators of the difference between what you're thinking and perceiving and what Source is knowing. So if you've noticed that you're scattered or stressed or serious, that just means your body's trying to get your attention. It's a very precise alert system. It means you're overdue for a check-in. And we'll talk in a little while about checking in. So before we get to the to-dos, there are 3 questions I think it's really helpful to ask yourself. The first one is, what's really bugging me? Because it's not your job, it's not people, it's not bad luck or money or your age or your health. The answer is always, I'm not happy. On this topic, I'm looking at what I don't like a lot. So instead of blaming it on something, make a decision to be happy. Happiness really is a decision. It's not anything that anybody can do for you or give you. They're not responsible for that. You cannot give it to somebody else. It's something that you decide, and then you find ways to allow. For example, when I was separating from my ex-husband, I said to him, I want to be happier. And I think you do too. So let's just go do that. I hope you find more things to be happy about, because that's my plan. And I wish that for you too. But I can't do that for you, and you can't do that for me. So we parted friends, and we remain friends. Second question, am I creating my own suffering? Am I convincing myself of limitations? Sort of like, I get that other job that I really want, but there's so many buts. But this, but that, but this. I want to find someone to love, but haven't met anybody lately. They're all taken. There's nobody decent in this area. Those dating websites don't work. There's so many buts that stop you from getting what you really want and creating your own suffering. Like, I'd really like to de-stress, but, the kids and the job and the this and the government and the economy, the traffic. If you can say those things, I'd really like to de-stress, and I wonder how I can. I bet there are ways that I can. I'd love to meet somebody and have that really nice relationship. There are so many people on this planet. There has to be at least a dozen or more that would be great for me. I only want one. Doesn't it seem a whole lot easier, and doesn't it feel more calm? It feels more good than I want to meet somebody, but, I just, right? So that's kind of how it's not kind of, it is how we create our own suffering. We decide that we have to pay a price, or that it has to take a long time, or that it can't happen. It hasn't happened before. So what if there are no real limitations? Does it sound too good to be true? What if there are ways for you to have a better version of fill in the blank? That's mind calming, because there are always ways. It's like, are you still mad about something that happened to you years ago? Are you blaming yourself for something or somebody else? Are you telling yourself that things just don't work out for you? Have you decided that your version of how the world should be outweighs that of infinite intelligence, or is better than? Are you so nagging and negative that people avoid you, at least the happier ones? So sniff around your life. Be curious. Am I creating my own suffering? Or how am I creating my own suffering? Because if I'm suffering, I'm creating it somehow. And that's okay. It is a big world. But we can do that less. We can do that less often. And the third question is, where is my personal power? I've noticed that feeling powerless is really common. Do you feel powerless to feel better? Do you feel powerless to make the changes that you want to make, or to do some of the things that you want to do, to stop that crazy train of life? Do you say things like, life just happens to me? Stuff happens. What are you going to do? Right? So if you feel like life is happening to you, that creates stress right there, because it's powerless. Life is happening right along with you because you have free will and you're a creator. We are here creating. We're creating new ideas, new thoughts, new experiences. So do the bullies who beat you up years ago get to permanently take away your sense of safety, self-love, even freedom to go out in public? That's your choice. I know a man he said to me years ago, when he was in his teen years, he and a bunch of buddies were just full of hormones and feeling some sort of way, came across a man who they knew was gay. They beat him up and took his clothes. And he said, it didn't feel right when we were doing it, and I've regretted it ever since. I really don't want that to hurt him, and I don't want it to affect his life. And I thought, you got to let yourself off the hook. I said, you were young, you were caught up in the moment, you learned from that. You have more compassion now because of that. And you can send love his way, but ultimately it's up to him if he continued to let that hurt him or bother him as he moved forward. So it's true for both gentlemen, right? That they get to choose what they take from that and how it affects them. That's a powerful choice. When I was young, my sister's friend, they were 5 years older than I was. They were teens, and her friend was so fun and adorable and funny. She was just so cool. And she said to me one day, jokingly, I wish somebody would just stop the world and let me off. And we laughed, and I thought that was an interesting comment. And then eventually I realized she wasn't really kidding. She had a hard childhood. And back then, people hid a lot and didn't have guidance and help and open talk about things like we do today. And eventually her world did stop and let her off. And that's a good thing. But from desires like hers, of feeling trapped in situations and feeling defeated and powerless, from all of that sparks more and more. And her and so many, all of us really, are the reasons why we are more open today. That we do talk about these things more freely. We don't have to hide abuses and all kinds of things like that. We can find help. It's more available. And the more we desire that, and the more good feeling things and less turmoil-ish things we desire, the more we're going to have of those as we go forward. That's why we're desiring. That's why this whole world is expanding. Years ago, people desired to have light in their houses or whatever they were living in. And we've evolved to the easy light switches that we have now. Not nearly as dangerous as what people had in the past. And we will keep desiring, and it'll get easier yet and brighter yet and better yet and more convenient. Here's a power versus no power thought. It is what it is. The powerless version of that is, it is what it is. It is what it is, whatever. The powerful thought there, or way to say that is, it is what it is. It literally is what it is. And there are good parts to everything. There's honey in everything. It is what it is. This is a big world. There is a lot going on. There are people doing things that I don't like or agree with. It is what it is. That's more powerful because you don't feel defeated in it. You're just making an observation. So your power to feel good is only yours. Okay, so that brings us to what can you do? Because we like to do, right? What can you do to calm your mind? Aside from understanding the things that we just talked about, that's really helpful. But there are some more to-do-ish kind of things. One is, like I said before, check in. Is it time for a check-in with you, your body? So to do that, just quiet yourself for a bit. Bring your attention to the space that you're in. Close your eyes if you want. Tap into your heart. Feel your heart. Science knows that there are over 40,000 neurons in the top part of the heart, around the valves and around where the blood comes in and out. Neurons, just like in the brain. So there's something to be said about feeling from your heart and thinking from your heart. I know a woman who said to me not all that long ago, she said, I just think with my heart. I thought, I love that. So to check in, bring your attention to where you're at. Bring your attention to your heart. And feel some stuff. Let the good feelings flow. This isn't about anybody else while you're doing this. Just you and the inner you. Think things like, what do I appreciate? And then feel those things. Who do you appreciate? Feel that appreciation for that person. What do you appreciate? What do you love? Think of some people that you love, some things that you love, some events that you love, some fun that you've had, some fun that you would like to have. Just feel it. And if you do that for just a few minutes, the difference that it makes in your body, and we know this because we test it physically, things change, and just in your energy itself, lasts for hours. So just a few minutes of that changes so much about what, it not only helps you feel more calm, but it changes what's happening in your body and in your external world. So it's really worth it. Another is self-talk. Talk to yourself. You're doing it anyway. You're talking to yourself all day long, every day. Science tells us that we think over 70,000 thoughts in a waking day. So of those, how many of them feel good? So if you talk to yourself kindly in the calm moments, it'll be easier to talk to yourself when you're uncalm. So you're wonderful. Say it. Feel it. And when you're uncalm, you can talk yourself off of whatever big or little ledge you're on. For example, if you're having a panic attack, say the words that you would say to the you that you love. Like, just breathe right now. Just breathe. I love you. This will pass. It always does. I've been here before. It's okay. Everything is temporary. I can be easy about this because I want to. There's nothing really serious going on here. Just breathe. I've got this. I've got this. Here I am. I'm okay. So try that. You can do it. You can find your own words. When you're spinning out because you think something is just not going well, talk to yourself in that, everything can work out for me. And even though I don't know where this is headed or how this is going to turn out, I'm looking for the honey in it. This can be okay. I can get the better version of this. Especially if I'm thinking these thoughts. I have to be thinking these thoughts if I want to get the better version. And if you have questions or examples or things that you want to talk about, have me talk about in an episode, just let me know. If you want to take some of these points further, we can certainly do that. Another is you just have to stop caring about what other people think. We can care about people without really caring about what they think. So if somebody thinks you should live differently, drive differently, whatever it might be, that's their opinion. Just rock what you're doing and let it go. If you love the way you dress, and you really love the way you dress and let yourself love you loving the way you dress, people aren't going to notice. If they do, you won't notice them if they don't like it. Right? If you want to sing and enjoy it and love it. If it doesn't sound good to anybody else, they don't need to listen. We tend to take what other people think very personally. And I know this, I still work on this one a little bit myself. I used to be very sensitive. And we take things personally, I think, because we feel like we have to please other people, or we feel like there's a right way to do things, and oops, they know and I don't. When people cannot view what you're thinking or doing or creating through your perception. Nobody can do that through anybody else's perception. And when you take all of their thoughts and perceptions and try to funnel them through yours, it makes you crazy. Another is to switch up or walk away from negative conversations, people, events. That woman that I said thinks with her heart is also someone who I notice will literally just walk away from a negative conversation. In a business setting with other professionals, if the conversation takes a negative turn, she just turns and walks away. And I love that. I think that's so smart. Right? Isn't that brilliant just to bow out? Just bow out. If it makes you feel bad, if it makes you feel uncomfortable. Another is raise your vibration. Even a little bit is helpful. We vibrate, everything does. So appreciate anything that feels good to you. That raises your vibration. And things that feel good to just you, not anybody else. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Meditation is another way. Appreciation is a great way to raise your vibration. It's better than gratitude because gratitude has a little bit of pain in it. Like, I'm so grateful that I have food or I'd be starving. Appreciation you're just appreciating, and that totally makes you feel better. Meditation is really simple. It's not some big hairy technique you have to learn or procedure. Just bring your attention to the space that you're in. Breathe. Pay attention to your breathing if that helps. Relax yourself. Just calm your mind. Do the best you can not to think about all the other things that you normally think about. And just be. Just be in that space. Sometimes it helps to listen to a noise or maybe a soft music or some music you like, or stare at something that you like. That's it. Just doing that not only changes your body, what's happening in your body, but it changes what's coming ahead for you in your life. 15 minutes a day of that is plenty. Another way to raise your vibration is just find things that feel good. Do you like to laugh? Is there a hobby that lights up for you? Can you be silly with a friend or a child? Could you use some quiet time, even just a couple minutes, because it feels good? Can you draw, even if you're not an artist? Just draw. So think about that. What are some things that just feel good when you do them? And you feel yourself being uncalm, go do that thing. Or think about doing that thing. Remember the last time you did that thing. So when life gets you, do anything that pleases you. And your vibration will rise, which means your mind calms and you feel better. And things work out for you better. Another is accept that relaxation, appreciation, meditation, feeling good on purpose is being productive. I know for me, I like to be busy. I have to remind myself to stop and tap in, and that little bit of time that I'm doing that is more productive than anything else I'm doing in the entire day. It changes so much about what's going on in your mind and your body and in your life. So 15 minutes of appreciation or meditation, or even just a few minutes, like 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes of feeling with your heart will last hours as you go forward in your day. And it does just make you more calm. It makes your life more calm. Another is to think on purpose. Like I said, you're thinking over 70,000 thoughts a day anyway. If you can think on purpose, you can control how you feel, because you feel however you're thinking. Here are some things that work for me. Some phrases that work for me that I do repeat to myself often. Everything's working out for me. I'll know when I know. I don't know right now, but I'll know when I know. I'm going to be easy about this. Or I'm going to be easy on myself. I think I'll just relax about that for a bit. And my favorite one is, where's the honey in this? You know, one of my clients recently had some issues with her dog, and the issues continued and got more intense, and her dog passed. And she said, I found myself at one point going, Rebecca, honestly, where's the honey? Because it was just something she couldn't get a hold of, and it seemed like it was out of control, and it wasn't the way she wanted it to be. But when we talked, we found honey all over that experience, all through it. So it's just a shift in perception, and it's looking at things from a broader perspective. And that leads us to our next one. Shift your perception. You just got to change the way you're looking at things if you want the things to change. You can't keep looking at things the same way and expect them to change. It's just like you can't keep looking at a problem and expect to find a solution. It's not in that space. Because, the things you don't like are still things working out for you. You just can't see it yet. Or you're just needing to shift your perception so you can see it. But even the things that seem so off or unlike what you thought they should be, that's still life working out for you. But it really helps to know that, or else you just don't kind of get there as fast. You get there in the long, hard version of it. So you can ask yourself, how does Source see this? Like, how does God or infinite intelligence? And, I'd prefer, especially with this question, if you just stick with Source energy or infinite intelligence, because that's much more broad than what most people see the word God as. And you really have to broaden your view here if you're going to get a glimpse of that view. Source knows that we're all intelligent, mature souls. We're just banging around here doing the best we can with what's in us at any given moment, and that's always changing. And that's good. This is fine. They get it. And they don't see any good or bad. They see everything as information. It's just data. It's information. What do you want to do with it? And they're the ones that tell us that there's really nothing serious going on here, that we interpret it that way. We make it seem that way. And I know that's tough to hear. And we can talk about that more maybe in another recording. And actually that reminds me of a dream that I just had recently, where there was this child who was playing with this toy contraption thing and had a little accident and got the back of his upper leg scraped and was crying and screaming. And I looked over and I said, "Oh, what's all right?" As he's really freaking out. And I'm trying to get a good look at what happened there. And I saw the scrapes. And then I realized that one of them was a pretty big gash. It was about a 4-inch gash. And so I turned the other direction, and I said to somebody, "Can you please go get the 4x4 gauze?" And I went over to the child, and I'm reassuring the child, and I look, and I noticed that the wound was widening. It was opening up because the child was moving and freaking, and it was just separating. And I turned back to the person I'd asked to get the gauze, and I said, "And we're going to need some tape too." And I reached over, and I closed the wound with my hand, and I thought, this is okay. I'm not freaking out because I don't want the child to freak out. And this is okay. We're just going to close this wound. We're going to put some gauze on it. We're going to tape it and send this child for some stitches. It was not a big deal. But to the child, and the child didn't even see the gash and see that it was widening because it was on the back of his leg. But the child still was in a panic and freaking out. I'm sure it hurt. And I thought, this is the way that Source views us. Here we are thinking, this is a bad thing. My life's not working out, or this isn't going to go well, or this is a terrible situation. And all Source is trying to stream to us is that there are solutions. This can be okay. Relax. We've got this. We're right here with you. And we know how to make this better. And the last one is, and there's so many, I could go on, but these are good. The last one is just have fun with life. What else are you doing? Right? This is just a little blip in time compared to eternity. So be easy about it. Have fun as often as you can. Make fun on purpose. When my kids leave to go somewhere, I say to them, have fun. When anybody leaves, have fun. It's just been a habit of mine for years now. And I notice other people will say, "Okay, be careful. Be careful. All right, see ya, bye, love you, be careful." And at some point I thought, oh yeah, I don't say that. I just say, bye, see ya, have fun. Because that's really what I want for them. I don't want to send them off in fear, like be careful, because, stuff can happen out there. Well, that's pre-paving something. Sooner or later, you keep saying that. Be careful, be careful, be careful. People are like today with the pandemic, be safe, be safe, be safe. Why don't we just say, have fun? Or make it a good experience. See you later. See you next time. Make it fun. If you're going to work, or better yet, if somebody else is going to work and you know they're not really looking forward to it, then say to them, make it fun. Make this a good day. Make this a good evening for yourself. Find ways to make it fun somehow or happy somehow, because you don't have to suffer through this. There's honey everywhere. But if you're convinced that it's another day at work or another night at work, then you're going to get that version of it. So you're okay, and you can be okayer if you want to. So I want to leave you with this. This is a quote from the Abraham Hicks material back in March 15th of 2003, where Abraham says, "A happy life is just a string of happy moments. But most people don't allow the happy moments because they're so busy trying to get a happy life." So I'm going to read that again. A happy life is just a string of happy moments. But most people don't allow those happy moments because they're so busy trying to get a happy life. So that means just be, chill. It means it's really not helpful to try to get a happy life or get a calm life or a calm moment. But it is helpful to create or allow happy moments. Create the happy moments. Don't try to get them. Just create them or be with them as often as you can anyway. And then that string of happy moments becomes longer and longer and longer until you realize you're having a lot of happy moments. So honestly, we can allow the calm moments or not. It's an inside job. We're doing it because we're free to choose. So my mind is calm right now. I hope yours is too. And since we learn by repetition, we get things by repetition, and we get them even better by experiential learning. When your mind, or if your mind becomes uncalm, listen back in here again. Because I bet you even find some things that have become your norm, or at least starting to become your norm. And isn't that fun to give yourself credit for? I'm doing that now. Like, this is actually better, right? I have been thinking those thoughts. So if you'd like one-on-one personal guidance, you can find me at mysticaltruths.com. And until next time, make your moments fun and be easy about it.